I don't delegate because nobody can do it as well as I can. These were the exact words I told my mentor right before my business imploded. His response changed my life. That's precisely why you'll never be wealthy. He wasn't being cruel. He was identifying the exact mindset that separates the wealthy from the perpetually overworked. Today, I'm going to walk you through the Billionaires Delegation Matrix, the exact decision-making tool that transformed me from a burned out entrepreneur working 80-hour weeks to someone who works just 4 hours daily while my business generates more revenue than ever. If you're trapped in the cycle of doing everything yourself, this might be the most important 15 minutes of your career. What if I told you that your productivity is actually killing your productivity? The constant juggling of tasks that fills your calendar might be the exact thing preventing your success. We've all been conditioned to wear busyness like a badge of honor. The packed schedule, the endless to-do lists, the I'll handle it myself mentality, but this approach that feels so productive might be the invisible anchor weighing down your potential. I've witnessed countless ambitious professionals fall into what psychologists now call toxic productivity, a modern addiction to constant activity and personal oversight of every task. This isn't just about working hard. It's about a compulsive need to be perpetually busy and to personally manage every detail, regardless of whether it's the most effective use of your talents or time. The research on this phenomenon is genuinely alarming. When professionals insist on handling everything themselves, they inevitably spread themselves thin across numerous low-impact activities. This do-it-all approach doesn't just feel overwhelming, it actively prevents you from focusing on the high-value activities that genuinely drive success. You might be busy, but you're busy on the wrong things, creating a perfect recipe for burnout and stagnation. What's particularly fascinating is the psychological mechanism at play. Many of us develop what researchers call task attachment, a powerful belief that we are the only ones capable of completing certain tasks properly. This attachment isn't rational, it's emotional. We convince ourselves that delegating would result in substandard work, when in reality, this mindset transforms us into bottlenecks in our own success pipeline. The fear of losing control, perfectionist tendencies, or simply not trusting others to meet our standards keeps us locked in this pattern. Let me break down the mathematical reality of this approach. Imagine you're a professional whose expertise is valued at $100, 0 cents per hour in the marketplace. Every hour you spend on tasks that could be completed by someone else for $10 to $15 per hour is essentially throwing away $85 to $90. That's not an abstract concept. It's real money vanishing from your potential income. This misallocation of time prevents you from engaging in the activities that would generate significantly higher returns: strategic planning, relationship building, innovation, or high-level client interaction. The neuroscience behind this productivity trap is equally compelling. Your brain has a finite capacity for decision-making each day. Scientists call this decision fatigue, the deterioration of your ability to make quality choices as you exhaust your mental resources on numerous decisions throughout the day. Every minor task you insist on handling personally drains the cognitive resources you need for truly important work. By the time you get to strategic decisions that could transform your results, your mental tank is running on empty. Chris Carlin, director of Master Your Money Now, points out a pattern he's observed among successful clients. Wealthy people pay others to do their tax returns because they know they will get extra money back. This isn't about being too important to handle certain tasks. It's about recognizing the real costs of misallocated focus. I've watched talented entrepreneurs hit income ceilings precisely because they couldn't let go of low-value tasks. By clutching responsibilities that others could handle, they created hard limits on their growth potential. Their businesses couldn't scale because they became operational bottlenecks, and their earnings plateaued despite working increasingly longer hours. Here's where things get counterintuitive. While researching the habits of billionaires and ultra successful individuals, I noticed something surprising. Many of them appear remarkably lazy by conventional standards. They aren't frantically busy. They don't boast about 80-hour work weeks. They don't handle everything personally. Instead, they almost obsessively selective about where they direct their personal energy. This observation reveals a profound truth. Lazy people, those who strategically conserve their efforts, often achieve more than those who pride themselves on constant activity. The difference isn't about avoiding work. It's about preserving mental bandwidth for truly high-value activities. They understand that their attention is their scarcest resource, and they guard it accordingly. This strategic conservation of effort isn't random, it's methodical. While most professionals exhaust themselves handling dozens of daily tasks, billionaires routinely ignore 80% of the activities that consume the average person's workday. The counterintuitive reality? These neglected tasks aren't just delegated, they're subjected to a specific decision-making matrix that transforms seemingly lazy behavior into exponential results. Let's clarify something important. There's bad lazy and good lazy. Bad lazy is avoiding necessary work out of pure apathy or fear. Good lazy, on the other hand, is the strategic allocation of your personal resources, particularly your attention, to maximize output. This distinction isn't superficial. It fundamentally separates those who struggle financially from those who achieve extraordinary wealth. When you analyze the schedules of self-made billionaires, a pattern emerges that defies conventional wisdom about success. These individuals often work fewer hours than ambitious professionals climbing the corporate ladder, yet they generate hundreds or thousands of times more value. This mathematical impossibility becomes logical when viewed through the lens of strategic delegation. At the core of this approach is what I call the Billionaires delegation matrix, a 4-quadrant decision-making tool that helps determine which tasks deserve your personal attention and which should be handled by someone else. Picture a simple graph with 2 axes: value generation on the vertical axis and personal competence on the horizontal. Tasks that fall into the high value, high competence quadrant are what billionaires focus on exclusively. Everything else, the remaining 3 quadrants, becomes a candidate for delegation, automation, or elimination. This matrix is powered by Pareto's principle, also known as the 80/20 rule, applied to personal productivity. This principle suggests that 20% of your activities generate 80% of your results. The math is straightforward but profound. By identifying and focusing exclusively on that critical 20%, you can potentially quadruple your output while simultaneously reducing your workload by 80%. This isn't theoretical, it's the practical approach used by wealth creators across industries. The implementation begins with a comprehensive task inventory. Take a week to document every single responsibility you handle, from the mundane to the monumental. Then categorize each item based on 2 factors: how much value it generates and how uniquely qualified you are to perform it. The results often shock ambitious professionals who discover they're spending less than 5% of their time on truly high-leverage activities. From this inventory, you'll identify 3 distinct categories of tasks ripe for delegation. First, tasks you hate. These drain your energy and rarely receive your best effort. Second, tasks others can do better. Your competence isn't the same as expertise. Third, tasks that don't utilize your highest skills. Even if you're good at them, they represent an opportunity cost if they prevent you from focusing on higher value work. Delegation is a critical component of good lazy, explains Chris Carlin, and it involves recognizing that one cannot do everything themselves. This means focusing on what one is good at or enjoys doing and delegating tasks that fall outside of these categories. The common objection I hear is, "But I can't afford to delegate." I don't have the resources. This misses the point entirely. Even with limited finances, strategic delegation is possible through a combination of approaches. Strategic partnerships allow for task trading based on comparative advantages. Automation tools can handle repetitive tasks like email marketing or social media scheduling at minimal cost. Fractional services, virtual assistants, part-time bookkeepers, project-based contractors offer cost-effective alternatives to full-time hires. The key is to start small. Identify one task that falls into the low-value quadrant of your matrix and explore options for removing it from your plate. As you free up time and focus on higher value activities, your income will increase, creating additional resources for expanded delegation. This creates a positive feedback loop that accelerates wealth creation. To master this approach, Carlin suggests first increasing your income, which often requires hard work, potentially including formal education, career changes, or taking on additional employment. This initial investment builds the financial foundation that supports delegation. Additionally, surrounding yourself with a supportive community that offers sound advice is essential. People who challenge your assumptions about what you must personally handle. Now comes the paradox that may initially frustrate you. Becoming strategically lazy demands intense upfront effort. You'll need to invest significant time establishing systems and confronting whatever psychological barriers, like perfectionism or control issues, that keep you clinging to tasks beneath your potential. But this temporary investment unlocks extraordinary freedom. Once your delegation infrastructure is in place, you can finally focus on those rare, high-impact activities that genuinely transform your financial trajectory and quality of life. Don't begin by searching for the perfect assistant. Start by identifying the first $10 per hour task currently stealing time from your $1,000 per hour potential. Challenge the societal stigma around laziness by embracing this truth. Wealth isn't measured by busyness, but by the value you create through strategic focus.